The city never sleeps. But for Eleanor Grace, sleep had become a luxury she hadn't known in years. She lived alone in a small, dimly lit apartment overlooking the East River, a place where the sound of traffic blended with memories that refused to die. Every night she sat by the window holding a small silver locket in her trembling hands. Inside it, the face of her son, Michael Grace. He had been her only child, a bright soul, a man with dreams taller than the New York skyline, until he was taken from her, not by time but by cruelty. My name is Eleanor Grace. I've lived a long life here in New York City, filled with love, loss and memories that never fade. But tonight, I want to tell you my story. A story of truth, pain, and the kind of revenge that changes a soul forever. So come a little closer, listen carefully, till the very end. Because sometimes the quietest voices carry the loudest truths. And before we begin, make sure to subscribe to this channel. So every time I whisper another story from the heart, you'll be right here to hear it first. 2 years earlier, Michael had worked for Garrison Holdings, a powerful real estate corporation known for swallowing entire neighborhoods. He was a junior architect, young, hopeful, and honest to the bone. One winter morning, Eleanor received a call that shattered her world. Michael was gone. An accident, they said. Construction failure, they claimed. But Eleanor had raised her boy alone. She knew his voice, his habits, his fears, and she knew, when the police told her he fell from the upper floors, it didn't make sense. Michael had told her a week before his death. "Mum, something's wrong at work. They're hiding things, dangerous things." After his funeral, Garrison Holdings sent her a polite envelope, condolences, a check, and a promise that justice would follow. Justice never did. For 6 months, Eleanor drowned in grief. Her apartment became her world. Empty coffee cups, unwashed dishes, letters she never sent. The world outside kept moving, but inside time froze. Then, one evening, she found Michael's old laptop. The screen flickered, password protected. Her hands shook as she typed, the only thing he ever used, her name, password accepted. Inside, dozens of hidden files, audio memos, blueprints, secret recordings. Her heart pounded. Michael had discovered something, evidence of illegal building shortcuts, forged permits, and bribes that reached deep into the city's elite. The name that appeared again and again, Nathan Garrison, the CEO himself. Eleanor stared at her son's notes for hours. Every file was a cry for help, a message he never got to deliver. And in that moment, the broken mother became something else. She became the flame. She printed everything, thousands of pages. She watched YouTube tutorials on encryption, voice changers, VPNs. She taught herself how to send anonymous messages. Every night at 2 a.m., Eleanor became a ghost in the city's network, sending anonymous leaks to journalists, activists, and even to the mayor's office. But no one listened. Big money buried every whisper. So she decided, if justice won't come to her, she'll bring justice herself. Eleanor's revenge was not built in anger. It was built in silence. She studied Nathan Garrison's life, his family, his habits, his pride. He loved control. He feared exposure. Eleanor started small, anonymous letters to his wife. Your husband killed innocent people. Fake invoices sent to his company board. Audit demanded by city prosecutors. And one by one, cracks appeared. Rumours spread. Stock prices fell. Nathan grew paranoid, but Eleanor wasn't finished. On a cold November morning, she disguised herself, grey coat, hat and dark glasses, and went to a charity event organised by Garrison Holdings. Nathan was there, smiling for cameras. Eleanor stood in the crowd, holding a small envelope. Inside it, a USB drive. When Nathan passed by, she slipped it into his coat pocket with a single note. You took my son. Now I'll take your peace. He never saw her face. But that night he opened the envelope, and the truth stared back. The drive contained recordings of his own bribes, emails, and a final message. Michael's voice. "If you're hearing this, you already know the truth. You built towers with lies, and those lies buried people alive." Nathan froze. For the first time, the man who ruled the skyline felt fear. Within weeks, the leaks hit the news. Major channels, protests erupted, shareholders fled, Garrison Holdings collapsed overnight. But Nathan wasn't done. He hired investigators to find the source, to find her. Eleanor knew this day would come. She packed her things, burned her notes, and disappeared into the noise of the city. But guilt had its own way of chasing people. Nathan's health declined. His empire fell apart. His name became a symbol of corruption. And Eleanor? She walked the streets of Brooklyn like a ghost, watching, listening, breathing. She didn't want his death. She wanted his truth. One rainy evening, as thunder rolled across the skyline, Nathan appeared at her door, soaked, broken, angry. "It was you," he said. "You destroyed me." Eleanor looked at him, the man who took everything from her. Her face was calm, her voice steady. "No," she said softly. "You destroyed yourself. I just showed the world what you did." Nathan broke down. For a moment, the power vanished, replaced by shame. Eleanor handed him a single photograph. Michael's face. "He trusted you. He died for your greed. And I will never forgive you." Nathan left without another word. Days later, his body was found in a hotel room, an apparent suicide. Months passed. Winter returned. And for the first time, the city felt quiet. Eleanor wrote a letter, to no one in particular, maybe to God, maybe to her son. "My dear Michael, I did what I had to. Not for vengeance, but for truth. I'm tired now, but I can finally breathe. The city still glows at night, and I still see your reflection in every window. Justice is not peace, but it's something close. Maybe one day we'll meet again, in a place where no lies are built and no dreams fall." She folded the letter and placed it inside the silver locket. Then she walked to the East River Bridge, where the sun was setting over the skyline. Her eyes filled with tears, not of grief, but of release. The wind carried her whisper, "You can rest now, my son." A year later, a new foundation was formed, the Grace Initiative, helping whistleblowers and families fight corporate injustice. Anonymous donations kept it running. No one knew who funded it. But on the foundation's website, one quote stood quietly at the bottom. "The truth never dies. It just waits for someone brave enough to speak it." And every night, in a small apartment in Brooklyn, a single candle flickered beside Michael's photo. Proof that even in a city of noise and greed, love and truth could still find their voice. The sun had set over the Brooklyn Bridge, and the city lights flickered like scattered memories. Eleanor Grace sat by her window, the same way she always did, her hands gently holding that silver locket, the one that carried her son's smile. For a while she believed it was over, that her revenge, her long walk through pain, had finally ended. But truth never really ends. It leaves traces, echoes, unfinished letters. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon when someone knocked on her door. A soft, hesitant knock, the kind that belongs to someone unsure if they should even be there. Eleanor opened it slowly. A young woman stood there, maybe in her late 20s, with tired eyes and a nervous smile. "Mrs. Grace?" she asked. "My name is Claire Donovan. I worked with your son." Eleanor's heart tightened. No one had said those words, "your son," in months. "Come in, dear," she whispered. "Please, come in." Claire stepped inside, clutching a small brown envelope. "I don't know if you'll want to see this," she said. "But Michael trusted me with it. He told me if anything ever happened to him, I should find you." Eleanor's hands trembled as she took the envelope. Inside an old notebook, some handwritten pages, and a small black flash drive. That night, Eleanor couldn't sleep. She sat in her dim living room, surrounded by the hum of the city outside. When she opened Michael's notebook, she saw his handwriting, neat, careful, familiar. He had written about Project Haven, a secret construction under the city connected to the same company that had taken his life. He had exposed the corruption, but there was something more. Names, dates, even politicians. Michael hadn't just died because of a corporate cover-up. He had died because he'd found something far bigger. Eleanor inserted the flash drive into her laptop. A video file appeared. Michael's face filled the screen, tired but determined. "Mum," he said, his voice steady. "If you ever see this, it means they got to me. But I need you to know, this goes deeper than we thought. People are being silenced. They're building something beneath the city, something dangerous. Promise me, Mum, you'll finish what I started." Eleanor covered her mouth, tears streaming silently. "Promise me." Those words echoed through her heart like thunder. By morning, the city felt different. The winter wind carried a certain heaviness, the kind that whispers secrets. Eleanor knew she couldn't stop now. Her revenge had burned the man who killed her son. But the system that allowed it still lived, untouched. She went to Claire. "You said you worked with Michael," Eleanor said. "Do you still have access to Garrison Holdings' internal archives?" Claire nodded hesitantly. "Some, but they monitor everything. If they trace it back to me, then we make sure they don't," Eleanor interrupted, a small fire in her eyes. For the first time in months, Eleanor felt alive again, not as a grieving mother but as a fighter, the kind of woman her son believed she could be. Together they started digging, emails, files, leaked permits, and deep beneath the digital noise, something called Operation Haven. Claire and Eleanor followed the clues to an abandoned subway station under Brooklyn Heights. It was supposed to be sealed off decades ago, but a fresh lock and new security cameras told a different story. Late one night, with flashlights and courage, they broke in. What they found looked like the skeleton of a secret project. Heavy machinery, half-built tunnels, and shipping containers marked Private City Development Authority. Eleanor took photos. Claire recorded video. Then, footsteps. A man's voice echoed, "Who's there?" They hid behind a pillar as two guards walked by. Eleanor's heart pounded like a drum. For a moment she thought of Michael, how brave he must have been to face all this alone. After the guards left, they ran, back into the night, back into the truth. Within a week, Eleanor had gathered everything: files, photos, Michael's notes, recordings, and the new evidence from the tunnels. But this time, she didn't send it to news agencies. She sent it to the people. Hundreds of anonymous accounts. Every journalist, every blogger, every student group in the city got the files. When the story broke, it hit harder than before. Headlines screamed, "Secret project beneath Brooklyn exposed. New York City officials linked to illegal construction scandal." Protests filled the streets. The city that had once ignored Eleanor's pain now echoed her voice. Weeks later, Eleanor was called to testify in a public hearing. Reporters crowded the courthouse steps as she walked in, her grey hair pulled back, her steps slow but certain. The cameras flashed. The world watched. "Mrs. Grace," the prosecutor asked, "why did you choose to come forward now?" Eleanor looked up, her voice steady but trembling with emotion. "Because justice isn't revenge," she said. "Justice is truth, and truth belongs to everyone." The courtroom went silent. Even the judge paused, looking at the old woman who had shaken an entire city. Her words spread across America that night. Millions watched. Millions wept. Months later, when the snow began to melt and spring brushed through the city, Eleanor returned to the East River Bridge, the same place where she had once said goodbye to her son. She held Michael's locket against her heart and whispered softly, "I did it, my boy. It's over now."
Your voice, it's everywhere. A gentle breeze touched her face, almost like a hand. Warm, familiar, loving, and for the first time, she smiled. Eleanor Grace, the woman who had lost everything, had become the voice of thousands. Her pain had turned into purpose, and as the sun set over the Brooklyn skyline, she walked away slowly, disappearing into the crowd, not as a victim, but as a leg.